Hermitcraft Season 9, a world of legends, lore, and untold stories. Today, some of them get told at last. Good morning, afternoon, evening, or night, everyone. I'm Chaotic Good, and today I'm going to dive deep into the hows and whys of Hermitcraft Season 9 and how it all ties back to Decked Out. So, to find the truth, we need to go back before hermits ever inhabited this planet, before the Big Moon catastrophe, before the first version of Decked Out, before everything, before hermitkind ever existed on any planet. But life did exist on this planet, in many different forms. We take particular interest in the life around the area that would eventually become home to the Soup Group. Elves in their castle, dwarves digging below them in their keep, and across the river from them, aliens are invading. As we now know, the aliens were successful as the humans died out. Or did they? Could they have survived, with help from the elves and dwarves, escaped to explore the land, and perhaps, just maybe, they located a new place to live, which is where our story begins, in a hole under some floating rocks, where one day there would be a vault and a theme park, where the humans started studying the portal there, and maybe, after some further development, they continued to explore. They were spying on the aliens who attacked them, and, while in the area, discovered a series of caves that would come to be known as the Frost Crypt, Caves of Carnage, and Black Mines. They decided to live in these caves, so they could continue to spy on the aliens, but stay hidden. And then, the Prophet discovered the artifacts. So, let's say that a prophet stayed and lived in that hole with the portal, because they realized it was connected to other times and universes. And when certain artifacts came through the portal, that prophet realized that those artifacts were connected to future citizens of the planet, with each artifact representing one of those hermits. They realized that in the future, perhaps when their civilization had died out, these hermits would inhabit the planet. So the prophet went to the caves to tell the rest of the people of their story. But that's when it all went wrong. But before we go there, I bet you're wondering how the artifacts came to be in the first place. Well, there is a legend that when a hermit leaves a world, never to return, their presence, the very essence and nature of that hermit on that world, becomes an object such as a bionic eye or a waffle. And if those objects were to all somehow, by the forces of nature, end up in a certain cave with a certain portal, they might be teleported back in time, where they could be found by a prophet from a past civilization. Anyway, where were we? Upon arriving at the caves, the prophet was disturbed to find no one there. After a little exploring, the prophet discovered the many dangers of the dungeon. It became obvious that everyone had been slain. The frozen crypt had become their frosty tomb. The prophet knew then that their species was doomed. One person could not rebuild an entire civilization, but they could leave a final mark. So the prophet formulated their plan. After spending so much time around the rift, the prophet had gained something of its energy, and they used this, along with the artifacts they had collected, to summon an image in their mind of what each hermit looked, or rather would look, like. The prophet used these images to sculpt small figures of each hermit. Then, they collected many compasses, maps, the artifacts and figures, and ventured into the dungeon that had killed their people. They hid each of the artifacts inside the dungeon, and linked a compass to each one. It was dangerous, and there were many close calls, but in the end, they were successful. Then, they hid each of the figures in secret locations around the dungeon. Again, it was dangerous, but they made it out alive. And now, the prophet had just one thing left to do. They wrote a letter. To a member of this future society, telling them of everything that had happened and what still needed to happen. They said that they must build a system inside the dungeon that turned it into a game. That was the only way to make people explore the dungeon. That they must use the compasses to create a game with the purpose of locating the artifacts and figures within the dungeon. That the fourth level of the dungeon must remain hidden until all the figures had been located. The most important part was that they must treat this like their own idea and put so much effort in so the other hermits never suspected the truth. And that is what happened. Tango found the letter, built the Deep Frost Citadel, and built the game of Decked Out 2 to give the hermits a reason to explore the dungeon. And who knows what will happen when the keys to level 4 are revealed? Who knows what secrets await? There is a lot of discrepancy surrounding what the Prophet's abilities truly were. As I said, spending so much time around the rift had given them the power to look through time and space. But some say there was more. Some say that the Prophet was invulnerable, nay, immortal, and that's how they survived the dungeon so many times. Some say the Prophet couldn't die, even if they wanted to. Some say that the Prophet went into the dungeon one last time, but never left. Maybe they died. It's a dangerous place, and these are just rumors. But maybe, just maybe, they survived. Maybe they are still alive to this day, hiding on level 4 perhaps, just waiting to reveal their secrets. Or maybe they fell in the river on level 2, drowned, and now haunt the Dungeoneers as One-Eyed Willy. We may never know the secrets of Decked Out 2. There sure are a lot. But I've told you the story as well as I know it, and I hope you enjoyed it. That's all the speculation we can do with the information we currently have. I might continue this as more secrets get uncovered, so make sure to subscribe to stay on top of that. Leave a comment telling me what you think happened to the Prophet, or any thoughts you have. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Goodbye.